doing collective work in soul measure. Man, it's just been a lot. I was just thinking about all the many illusions, right, that are around us. Some of the most just unnatural bullshit. It's just like almost paranormal, like how we got all this shit pulled over our eyes, right? And like these are things that just absolutely need to be destroyed, right? Now, if you're the type of person that thinks the president is coming to save you, I'm not talking to you. You might as well just go ahead and click off now. And in fact, don't even come to my page anymore, because it's just like, I think that's what the presidency is teaching us. Like, nobody's coming to save you, man. Like, no, it's like up to you to get out and get it on your own. Yeah, they have all this other bullshit in place for us to have to circumvent and like come into union with and like agreement with and things like that. But that's all it is an agreement. It's not like a permanent fixture. It's like, it does say we the people, so we actually we do have the power, despite those people who are in these offices and suits and ties and stuff say, like they rely. I mean, if our votes matter, right, then we are the ones that hold the power. So we have to get in. People actually get into the office and vote these people in, and that's if they matter, because it seems like something happens with the ballots every time we vote for the presidency, right? Every 4 years, and like for how many centuries, and they still haven't gotten that fixed. They still haven't found a trustworthy person to count the ballots or whatever, right? And oh my god, like there's a reason that a lot of these systems are by force, right? By fear and intimidation, and just the threat of not having security. And I forgot who said this. It says if you it's something about like deserving neither security nor liberty. If you are willing to risk liberty for security, then you deserve neither, right? And I think that's what it is. It's kind of like, to me, that's like saying you're getting away from Yahweh. You're getting away from your belief in Yahweh, which will be your belief in yourself, and that you can do it, but with the help of the Most High. And it's like I said, it's, if you have to force things, or any type of relationship, is like a fart. If you gotta force it, it's probably shit. And that's like 8 or 9 times out of 10 that's true. Now I look at and I'm not like, I'm observing, observant on how people like use these different structures, these different structures, and they're now imprisonments, right? Because it's not even free will at this point anymore. It's kind of like, it is slavery, but it's more self-imposed depending on which ideals you choose to accept, right? And you choose to, not even accept, you choose to embrace, because they're gonna, the ideals are there. It's undeniable, and I'm not gonna say inevitable, because you could choose. It's a choice to accept it or not for yourself, but you can't accept it for others, right? And like I was talking about, my journey, like in the last video or whatever, and like I didn't quite get into my mindset and my perspective of it. If anybody cares to listen, they can. If they don't, then they don't, because it's just like, if it was ever open to someone else coming in, it's just like, it's a matter of what your boundaries are and what your agreements are as that union, right? And a piece of paper shouldn't tell you if you're riding or dying for a person. If it's just like, that's just what it is. And I feel like the contracts, the physical contracts that we have here, like, first of all, it's on stolen land. So it's just like, we can't, like, this is why they're constantly having to rewrite, line item veto, and all kinds of different stuff. And like these plans they have to keep us like enslaved and not self-sufficient and independent, right? Because finances are a big part of why some of these marriages are even still together, or why they got together in the first damn place. Because it's just like, if you're stealing something, you have to constantly, like, you got to constantly work to maintain something that you got honest, right? You have to work like a multitude times harder on something that you've stolen, and that's everything you build on a foundation. This is a crumbling foundation, right? It's just like there's so much blood on the hands of the of those that claim they discovered the nation, right? The country, which is like there were people already living here, so how the fuck did you discover it, right? And it's just like it will never like go anywhere, like for real. It's just like it's like they talk about the good old days. Everybody's always talking about the good old days, which is like it just progressively gets worse. So when were the good old days exactly? That was before it was discovered, right, by a foreigner, who then proceeded to rape and pillage and just flat out murder and intentionally bring diseases, because there were, people weren't carrying like real diseases out here. Maybe a cold here and there, diseases like, an imbalance in your pH or your thyroid, your lymph nodes, or something like that in your organs that your body can't regulate or process from, and you need to add to or take away from your diet, your ingestion of something. And there was no diseases before it got discovered. That's all I'm saying. And the mental illness, it's just like, and all this like serpent culture stuff with the, instead of talking about the problem face to face, you'd rather turn around and just gossip or whatever. That's part of a mental illness. That's part of how it starts, because it's just like when you do that, that takes away from whatever connection you guys could have had, and by resolving the issue face to face, or whatever departure disconnects, you can't even, like, it's hard to even fully disconnect from something you want to be disconnected from, because there'll be a bunch of bullshit surrounding it. And a lot of illnesses do start in your head, because they come like in your head. That's where stress comes in, and that's what a serpent would bring. Like it said not to bite from a certain apple, and then because of the betrayal of self, it wasn't just the betrayal of the Yahweh, it was a betrayal of self. It's just like you literally bit the hand that fed you, right? And biting that apple of like just forbidden knowledge. And forbidden knowledge is like, basically like the keeping up with the Joneses type lifestyle, looking at somebody else's life like, who cares? If they want you to know that, they'll tell you that. And that's how I feel about, when people come to me with certain information, right, that I'm not receptive to. It's just like sometimes you don't want to know, and then it's just like it's actually beneficial. That's something I'd be receptive to, and I actually learn something useful, versus what somebody else is doing with their money, how much money they have, what they're doing. Like, I don't, like, why would I care about that, unless they are willing to teach, or if it's something I wanted to learn about how they're making their money or doing it, but I would go ask them directly, right? And there's a lot of indirect communication about other people's, and like the media is just the absolute fucking worst. But like, okay, with good intentions, okay, but when you have ill intentions, like if you're like a child molester or something, like, or a murderer, somebody who just doesn't understand that no means no, right? That's a different story. And like, that would be something that would need to be broadcasted to put other people on alert that, hey, this person does not have good intentions, they are here to harm you. And I feel like that should be, if we're gonna talk about publicly shaming, which I'm not really for, just like, you learn the lesson, and like you could simply turn your back on like situations like that. But when it comes to people who are innocent and helpless, can't take care of themselves, that's a whole different story. Like if you're just abusive towards an innocent, like, and someone who is just a true innocent, someone who isn't trying to find out about who isn't like about to lose their innocence intentionally, this and that, right? So it starts in the head, so, and then it manifests in the body, and it's just like, what mental illness do you have to want to latch onto somebody else's life business, you know. And that's like marriage. It's like, okay, so people get married for money. It's just like, oh, they have to have this, they have to have this, they have to have this. It's not even about love anymore, you know, because now it's like, because United States is a corporation, it's a business, you know, so are we're our own individual businesses. And it's just like, it is like a big ass circuit board. It's just like, and who you get married to, now you're a business, you know. If that's what the mindset you want, that's cool, stay here. But when it's a, you know, like, you stay in that world, but don't try to integrate that shit into people who are in it for actual love, right? Because it's just like, if it was actual love, you know, I feel like that it wouldn't be like acceptable to outside energies like that, you know. It'd be a solid union versus, oh, you know, I might go get married to this person because they have more money. You know, it's just like, if it's that simple for you to just click off of a union that's supposed to be holy. And that's why, you know, a lot of them are failing, because it's just like, okay, so you had the guy that like truly, really and truly, you guys loved each other, right? And then you separated from him because, you know, your family said that, oh, you know, this guy, he's going places and this and that. And then you marry somebody else's like soulmate. You marry their person because they had something financial. Or it's just like, oh, they teach you, they have all these books on how to, you know, think like a man, like how to keep a man, how to get a man, how to, like, you know, keep them in check, and all this other stupid shit. It's just like, just be yourself, and yourself will have what, you know, have you with the person you need to be with for that part of your life, right? Follow your heart, man. And instead of, you know, like, oh, this man has manifested this all on his own, and even though he's not attracted to me right now, I'm gonna like do some seduction spells and love spells, which, and you know, like, and like, if he's a real, like, you know, high vibrational guy, right, if he's a divine, or she, right, then you're gonna actually repel them. They're gonna actually become repulsed by you, you know. So it's just like, that makes you either have to work harder or back off, because it's just like, the only thing that's gonna do is bring out the karmic side of him for you, right? And it's just like, you know, that's why it's best to just be authentic and be yourself, because, you know, you'll be received that way. You'll be actually received versus somebody receiving an illusion of you and who you are. And, you know, that's why, you know, there is so much divorce here. There is so much cheating and like, just like fuck it and walk away and just like leave the whole family, because some of these guys are waking up and like realizing the whole family is just like built off karmic intentions. It's just like, I don't, you know, like, we don't belong together. Like, me, you, these kids, they just wake up and just fuck it, you know. And it's like, it's not funny. It's not like, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's like, it was never a good thing to begin with, you know. Because it said a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. That is not, even if you get married, that's still not your spouse, you know. Because it's just like, look at how it ended, you know. And then if you don't grow, you don't go, right? And they say the best revenge is doing better. And, you know, a lot of people, they let that type of shit destroy them. Like, I don't care who walks away from me, I'm gonna keep moving forward. You know, I've had people walk away from me. I've walked away from more people than I've had walk away from me, you know. And that's, you know, just the part of the process, knowing how to let go of people, places, and things that are no longer contributing to your growth. You know, it's kind of like, you know, they turn from flowers into weeds. Like daffodils are beautiful flowers, but they're actually considered weeds, you know. But they do grow flowers, but only to a certain extent, you know. And then they become, and some plants are just weeds to other plant. Bamboo, that's considered a weed to some plants, you know. It's just like, it's not for everybody. Everybody ain't for everybody. Just because you're compatible, just because you share the same hobbies and interests and stuff, doesn't mean you're compatible in spirit. You're compatible on the 3D, you know, which is like temptation. The 3D is a whole beastly exam we had to pass. And you know, a lot of people are failing, man. And like, I'm not saying like, don't be like accountable, like if you are, you know, because some people, they say once a cheater always a cheater. I'm just like, maybe that wouldn't be the case if they were with the right fucking person, if they were actually, you know, if they actually took the time to go on their soul journey and just heal from whatever trauma that would have them be like a serial cheater or something. Because when I was on my journey, I encountered people that were just cheating on people because they knew the other person wasn't going nowhere for financial reasons, because they had that binding contract. Why would you want to bind yourself to somebody like that? If that's your person, that's your person. That's why I struggle with like even wanting to get married. If I do, I do, right? If I think that's truly my person, then okay, cool. But it's just like sharing bank accounts and shit. Like I can't like get a grasp on that. Okay, yeah, open up a business together, what you got together is what you got together. But as far as yours and theirs, I feel like that shit should remain separate, so you will be who you were when you leave, or whether you stay or go, right? And anything you have to lose your identity for, unless it's you shedding old skin that no longer serves you, then yeah, it's no good for you. If it results in you not being true to who you really are, your true self, your authentic self. It's just like, okay, there's a difference between being comfortable around a person, and there's a difference between being yourself. And what I find is a lot of people are married to people that they are not themselves with, but they're just really comfortable, because that takes time. But that thing they call chemistry, right? Undeniable. Science is undeniable. Spirit is undeniable. And who you're actually, the people who are your soul tribe, who you're supposed to be with, even if it's for that moment in time, because soulmates are not all soulmates are forever, right? Just like stars burn out and everything like that, they burn out, and they, like asteroids, once they hit the earth, there's a stop to their travel, right? It looks like they're not going to stop, but that's why there's so much, when there's so much momentum and then it comes to an abrupt stop, that's why there's so much, tremor, turbulence, turmoil. Because just like, it was just on its path, the asteroid doesn't know that, or maybe it does, that, oh man, I'm about to crash into this other rock, this other dirt rock, and then it does, and it shakes everything up. Just like, oh, okay, because the stability of your path, the momentum you had, or the stability of the foundation that was already there, right? So that's when the whole crater happens and everything like that. So now you got a hole in your foundation because of something being in your path that you weren't expecting. And the expectation should always be growth, and it should always be plan to grow. Like they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Which I've never made a whole lot of plans except for travel plans. I plan travel, and then even then I kind of just roll with it. It's just like, I know where my destination is. That's really about how and when I actually am supposed to be there, and I never quite get there when I'm supposed to get there, because just like either way I'm gonna have fucking fun. So if you travel with me, if you ever travel with me, that's what you gotta expect. I mean, I'm a better planner when I'm with somebody else, don't get me wrong, but I don't try to like plan their days. Kind of like fill them out and see what they might be in the mood for that day, just like jet skis or something like that, and a lot of the systems are, they plan for control, right? They plan for the control of people and how to have a steady income for themselves, but it's not necessarily for provision of other people. It's to line the pockets of the people who created the plans in the first place, right? So they didn't plan to fail, obviously, right? They failed to plan for the people that they claimed that they were taking care of, right? So when that failed to plan, they planned to fail, right? When they were just planning for taking money from people for the provision of themselves. It's just like, okay, so that, and with no intention, really, it didn't seem like any intention in paying back, or maybe they did have intentions, and then it was just like, kind of like, forget that. Kind of like a lot of Americans, it's just like, yeah, and the intention is there. Like, I never forget a debt. Like, I plan on paying back all my debts, and like, not a bunch of bullshit is out my life causing me stagnation. Some of it I bought on myself. Yes, I did. Causing me all kinds of horrible stagnations and losses on the fund, but it was most on the financial aspect, and I found more of myself in these losses of this so-called stability, because my stability comes from my happiness, looked like. And like people tried to make sure I was miserable because I guess that's what they figured out. I don't know. And I think that's what in general these higher ups have figured out. Like, you want them happy enough that they won't riot, but not so happy that they start thinking for themselves, or they start like going on their own path. And like we need them to be codependent on us and our systems. And a lot of people are just like, they're happy being taken care of and not having to have as much accountability. Like, I have a whole hell of a lot more accountability just trying not to rely on this system than I would if I relied on the system. It's a huge responsibility, man. It's a whole, this lifestyle, people act like, oh yeah, you just abandon all responsibilities. I'm like, no, because my shelter still relies on me. I just need the money for it. It's just a matter of having the funds. And and for like not having a permanent foundation, right? Because I choose to work and travel because I want to see things. I want to travel. Like, I'm looking at some beautiful scenery right now, and probably should have put the camera the other way because it's really and truly a sight around a bunch of farmland. And I enjoy driving and looking at stuff like this. I enjoy excursions and doing things that are new, and like staying in different places that are new and cool and whatever. Like, Airbnb is great because they have these features that you can stay in tiny homes, shipping container homes, yurts. They have like these samurai homes, these Japanese style homes, domes, caves actually, like rocks, and all kinds of designer or homes that have a lot of games in them. And like the whole home is based on like games you can play on the house, in the house, within the house, around the house, just games, right? And like grand pianos or stuff like that. They have all kinds of different cool features. And yes, chef's kitchen is like faves, and of course, depending on what's going on with the features, it's going to be more or less expensive, but it's worth it, just to have that experience, and just like they're trying to stifle individuality, like they're trying to siphon individuality from people. It's like, if I feel stuck and I have to go through one of these corporations to get my invention off, right? I have to, get it patented, which you definitely do, but I would say get the, before you start giving them money and stuff to sell and market your stuff, definitely have have all your shit together. I mean, I have an invention that I still like have in limbo because I haven't really necessarily had the funds to, put towards it. And it's just like, I want to get it all lump sum total paid off and ready to promote myself. In fact, I'm gonna, get my welding equipment and get to work and get some metal or whatever, and just start advertising it in my travels. I mean, it's just like, it's kind of like you could promote stuff like that if that's the type of invention you have, if it's mobile, because a lot of people are creating mobile inventions now because a lot of people are on the road more than they realize. Like, sitting 2 hours in traffic, I mean, you might as well be enjoying some beautiful scenery instead of, we're going to an office to look at another building from our window view office. It's like, no cap. I'm not capping, but I'm just saying, it's just like, you're just literally going to look into the window of somebody else who is like probably trying to, probably close their shutters or something because they don't want to see you, right? And, sitting in there like really recycling bacteria from breathing in each other's air. I'm sorry, I had an office job, so it's just like, I know what that's like. Some people, they're good, they live for it. Like, I've worked with engineers, I've worked with insurance agents, I've worked with construction workers, mechanics. I work with all kinds of people, athletes, stuff like that, or like, people who are just heavy into sports, like outdoorsy. I'd much rather the great outdoors than sit in an office all day, but that's just my preference. Like, I can hack away at a computer, don't get me wrong, I can. It's become harder over the years. Like, it's harder for me than physical activity. over the years, you know, sitting in front of a computer and just like, that's why I have these glasses. These are not real glasses. These are blue screen glasses, which I keep on because when I look at tech, I'm pretty sure I said this before. When I look at computer screens and things like that, like I lose sleep, like with my, directly with my eyes and everything. So the blue light blockers have been significant to me because I thought I had insomnia. It's just like, no, like there's literally something in this technology that fucks up your sleep, and then here they are pushing out more pills to help you sleep. That's ironic. And more technology with 4K and to make shit look more real, so it pops out the screen at you, but it's also affecting your sleep. I'll take a projection screen for what, 180, and be done with it, because there's no glare from that. It's just glare from the actual bulb, the lens on the projector screen. And it's just more fun, just like if you have a blank wall or a blank canvas that's all white, you could just like throw it, just like face it wherever the ratio will fit. So that's a solution, just like projection screens aren't like hella expensive. I mean, of course, depending on size, what size do you want, but do you really need anything more than, I would say, a 40-inch view of whatever it is you're looking at? Like, I'm pretty sure everybody can see that, right? If you just put it on a wall or something, and then it's just like, watch how much better your fucking sleep is. That's all I'm saying. And put it above your head, of course. Don't put it below you, because it's still in, it'll still be in your view. And put it high enough above you that it won't even be in your peripherals. And definitely so that you don't ever have to make direct eye contact, look directly into the lens, right? If you can do that. So, it's just like it's a very parasitic system, like the more things they put out, for entertainment purposes, right? The more things they put out, like, it seems like the more pills they come up with, as far as like when it comes to entertainment, especially through a screen. It's like a computer, a big screen TV, and and then the conversations get like, and the things people choose to talk about become more, there's less intellect to them. And it's just like, that's why, like me, I'll get a scope of like, a kind of like precursor, or try to get a precursor on what a person is about and what they choose to talk about, like initially, or their introduction. I try not to be judgmental, but it kind of tells me everything I need to know about where their IQ might be. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, keep moving. Like, don't make eye contact. They might try to start a conversation. So yeah, and I'm like in it, but that world is like, actually, like, I'm actually leaving that behind more and more, and it's kind of like in leaps and bounds. Like, I haven't run into anybody really intellectually challenged, or what's the word I want to use? Is essentially, if that's even a word, challenged, right? Like, they're just not there yet. They're not where we're not compatible in conversation or mindset. So it's just like, okay. And like a lot of the desires that I had, like before, when I was just, kind of stagnant and really just trying to figure things out for myself, and like trying to figure out, man, how can I make money like outside the matrix? And I'm almost, basically completely out. The only thing I need to get together is my business, and I'll be like damn near, basically 100% of the way out. And I gotta like probably take some computer coding classes or something. I don't know, or just go for some old school marketing. Be like, hey, give me a call, and get back to that, and hand out cards and flyers, and yeah. But the only thing I'm pretty sure I won't be able to escape is GPS, unless I really, really become a wanderer, because it's just like they still have these cool places that I want to stay at. So, the path of least resistance for me is staying mostly detached, right? As far as the systems go, it has been a journey to not be in the fucking you know, major, like I said, it's a responsibility, but it's just like, but if you completely delve into it, then it's just like, okay, well, you've lost a sense of freedom. You still you are using your free will to essentially give up your freedom, right? Like when you are completely independent, you know, it's just like I said, you know, you can, people are going to be like, oh, you gave up responsibility. It's like, no, there's so much responsibility in this, and sometimes it's downright exhausting, you know, to not have you know, just one place to commute to and from. You know, it's never been easy, you know? But it is rewarding in the long run. And like a lot of systems, like I said, they're built around, they want to control travel by water, by air, you know. It's just like, and in that control, there's actually more pollution if you really look at it, right? Just like, is that a wolf? There's yeah, there's more pollution, there's more paperwork. You know, it's like, oh, let's go wireless, let's have anything on it, and then shit gets leaked, people get doxxed. You know, it's just like, it's gonna be trash one way or another in the ethers, on the land, the water, the air. Like, it's just like in their attempts to control, they have created more disease, they have created more pollution, which also comes to more disease, and they go hand in hand, because you know those prescription pill bottles, I see those on the ground sometimes and in the water, and it's just like, it's just a trade-off, just a swapping of diseases and swapping of pollution, and like, it's just a self-destructive, the system is self-destructing, you know, is what it's looking like, you know, like. And it started, to me, it started like the day the government shut down, because 4 grown men couldn't make up their mind. Like, how are we shutting down a whole government? You know, because people can't lie. And now it's like, there's rumors of World War III. Just like, okay, another war, great. But the intention, right? What is it? What is the real reason behind it? And I don't sense any bad intention from it. But me being like nomadic, I guess, I'm ready for it, because it's just like, and to live this life, you also have to like you definitely got to minimize your material possessions, which for me is cool, because it's like storage units are cheap, you know, and I don't have to carry a whole hell of a lot. Like, I carry my workout equipment with me, you know, so I can do my videos and then get my own workout, and I might carry food with me, depending on if that place has a grocery stores around our farm, or markets, or farms, or whatever, that I can go like get my food from, things like that. And I don't need a whole hell and my walk. I carry my walk. It's really a weird thing to do, but people like in these Airbnbs, unless it's chef's kitchen, they don't really carry walks like that. A walk is just like an excellent it's something just excellent to cook in. But anyways, a lot, you know, like the whole thing is like, everything's centered around your energy, which is money, and they put a price on your energy, and then they say, oh, your energy is, they devalue, they decrease the value of your energy by telling you, okay, so no matter how hard you work in these hours, this is how much your energy is worth, right? And you could be the most creative person in the world, but if it's not pertaining to that system, right, it's like stagnant energy, it's stored energy, and you know, for some people they get broken by it, but some people, it's like, I'm so creative and I'm stuck here at this job, and you know, that's what it's meant for. It's meant to break you creatively, or harvest from you creatively. But either way, it's just like, they're trying to tell you that you won't be doing shit without us, right? Unless you figure it out, which, you know, a lot of creatives do, and that's why we get attacked, right? It's not even about the principle anymore. It's not even that the man cheated, that he's after him. It's just like, oh no, like, you're gonna continue paying for me and these kids that probably aren't even yours, right? Like, and they'll hide that, and they'll be mad about him cheating, but they'll be hiding that, you know, those kids ain't his, you know, or like negating the fact that he, you know, accepted 2 children. And then like men are abusive in that, oh, I make all the money, I pay all the bills, so that gives me the right to cheat. Just like, actually, no, it doesn't. It's just like, and here's why: because you made a commitment to somebody who is committed to you, and they, like there was a mutual agreement that there wouldn't be any cheating, at least, unspoken, and just like, or unless you're just to manipulate. But usually unspoken agreement in any commitment is that nobody cheats, right? Nobody steps outside the marriage unless you spoke about it, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't really care, I know what it is, da 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 da. Okay, cool, that's on y'all, that's y'all's agreement, whatever floats your boat. But usually it's like, oh, they pissed me off, so I'm gonna do this, or they cheated first, so I'm gonna cheat too. It just makes no sense. Just go be with somebody else. So if that's what y'all do, that's what y'all do. But when somebody gets hurt, then it's a problem. Like really, really hurt, right? On some fatal attraction, thin line between love and hate type shit, then it's a problem, right? And like I understand that marriage is for security of not just finances, but like physical health, since we do have all these diseases being invented and swapped between people. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional. It's like security of knowing that you gotta have somebody, you're gonna have somebody there, or this is that, and that is your person who's gonna be there for you. But what happens when they just get up and leave? Like leave, and that could be the male or the female, because they don't talk about the spiritual ramifications of it. Like, say you do marry your person, right? And or like, okay, so then that's the ultimate security, because that's your person and you marry them. Now if these people are out here getting married for money, and like what they have and like their potential on the physical realm, right? Like say one of them is a high vibrational being and one of them isn't. Now when the high vibrational being leaves, it's more of a spiritual ramification for, like, if a high vibrational woman leaves a rich man, right? The spiritual ramification of that rich man, is that he used money to manipulate or control, right? Sometimes this is the case. And like the spiritual woman leaves him, and the spiritual ramification, or he does something to cause her to leave, the spiritual ramification isn't financial, of course, right? It's that he lost somebody that he could have done the work for and really truly been with, but they were on different timelines. And like men, it's just like they don't, they go like instantly like do something to cover the pain or whatever. Females, we get through it, and then we're over it, right? We work different. We go within and do the work, or just figure things out for ourselves. Whereas dudes, like typically, or like, I don't even know if that's typically, this as far as I know from the programming that I've seen them in, they go out and they mask it with alcohol and other women. Okay. So, just rebound type stuff, right? And, like this, like, because they stepped out on a female that they, that was actually good for them, and then they're hurting about it, right? And they know, and then they're hurting because it's just like they haven't thrown away her pictures. They have, they're still pursuing her. They're still looking at her and looking for her, and every female he comes across after the fact, like to the point he's starting up, I can attest, because I have been stalked, like a lot, even if it wasn't serious, I got stalked, and it was just like by people that, I just, kind of purposely, dealt with, because I thought I wasn't going to get stalked because of what their situation was, right? That was the whole thing. Like, I was just tired of getting stalked. I'm just like, damn, like, why do they keep popping up in all the same places? It's just like, it's the energy. It's not the fact, because like, okay, how can people cheat on each other all the time? Everybody else gets away with it but that one person, because that's probably a divine being, whether that person knew that that other person had a connection or not, and they're the one that gets attacked out of all the people that other person slept with, or all the other wrong shit that they did, or what have you, all the people they've been involved with, that person gets stalked, even if it's an ex that is completely separated and doesn't have anything to do with that person anymore. It's just the fact that he can't get over her or she can't get over him, and it's just their energy, and they notice that change in the energy, like never been the same type energy since that person came into their life. They were on a higher frequency, like, and that's the thing about being an earth angel, right? Like, and a divine feminine masculine, is that when we come into people's lives, like, shit gets shaken up, like all the old paradigms, everything that people need to grow from, like, it's like, boom, you got to go, like, like, and if you're fighting to hang on, you're just gonna get hurt, right? But things get shaken up. But then again, you got to look at it like, there's also witchcraft, and some people come in, they change and shake things up, and then they go on this whole like negative path, right? Of the shit they actually do hang on to, right? Like, they start like picking up bad habits, like drinking all the time, gossiping all the time, watching somebody else all the time. It's just like, well, it's like, why did you have that person leave, or why did you get rid of that person in the first place if that's all you're gonna do is sit up and fucking watch them? So it's sorry. But it's kind of like they might as well still be here. We just gotta do some changing and do right by ourselves by doing right by this person. It's just like this person is here for our growth, obviously, because we're still sitting up watching and they're not even here. That person isn't even here anymore, right? And we completely they'll completely screw the person over, dog them out all kinds of ways. That's usually unfortunately that's usually the divine story. It's just like these people will pursue us so hard, like they won't do anybody else like that, but it's like people they feel safe doing it to, because it's like that's the most loving energy they've ever encountered, versus the person who's sitting up creating all the bullshit. They won't pursue them like that because they're the creator of the bullshit, and there's a fear. And I always say you can either have fear or you can have respect, but you cannot have both. And fear is what will have people like if it was like, after finding out who you are at the core, at the end of it, the person that gets respected won't be the one getting thrown under the bus. They won't be the one getting tossed overboard, right? But fear will make you be like, okay, we gotta really plot, plan, and strategy. They won't be blatant with it at all. It's just like, you won't see it coming. Somebody is gonna be driving the bus, somebody's gonna throw you under it, and another motherfucker's gonna run your ass over with it, right? And these are the people that don't make it, because it's like the alpha mentality. It's like because to be an alpha, I'm sorry, but there has to be some level of manipulation of groups, to make them think you're a certain way all the time. And it's just like, versus if you're Sigma, it's just like, look, bitch, this is what the fuck you get, right? Like, I am who I am. Like, I'm not perfect, and I'll admit to my wrongs and my faults, and I have humility, and I can, humble myself. I need to find a better word for humble. I don't really like humble, right? Because it means lowly. But, regulate myself and check myself when it comes to my spirit and others and the Most High. It's just like, that's what it's all about. It's that you know how to regulate yourself. Whereas people who are in the alpha mentality, sometimes it's just power unchecked, and the motherfucker just needs to be checked, man. And sometimes it's like the self-regulation, the spirit of the divine that can have the potential to check them, and they see that it immediately as a threat, so they hone in on you. No matter what else, who else was doing what to them, or has done what to them. They can have like the dirtiest motherfucker, and they know they're doing a dead ass wrong right in their face, right? But they'll still, fuck over the earth angel, right? Or try to, right? But it's like they end up playing themselves. It's like, congratulations, you played yourself, right? And that's the whole, that's the whole thing. It's like there's a bunch of people who are no longer enslaved by the systems, because we're waking up to who we are as a divine collective, and we get targeted, because we have the potential to wake up people around us and saying, hey, this is not some shit that you need. these commercials and all this other shit, you know, that they're telling you, oh, you need this. Like, no, you need to listen to the people who are telling you, like, how to do this the natural way. You need to listen to the people who are saying, you know, talking about, who aren't talking about, oh, fucking get rich quickly. And like, the richest you can be is when you're free. And I don't know how many, you can say that as many times as you need to, but the richest you can be is when you're free, right? And that's spiritually, like, because they try to bind you in spirit, by making you feel guilty that you don't have all these bills and responsibilities. It's just like, oh, you know, my car's more expensive. Oh, Maserati, ha ha ha. But they'll still fucking be focused on you, though. They'll still be a groupie for you because you have that energy, you know. And it's like people could be online saying the most dumb shit, like the most foul shit, like, oh, I'll blast your, you know, your whole, like, I'll shoot your puppy too, or whatever, you know, like some gruesome shit. And then, like, they're all for it. But as soon as somebody gets on here preaching how to better yourself, and, you know, because they have, you know, they may have a past, but every saint has a past, every sinner has a future, you know. And it's like, it's not like, you know, they haven't done wrong themselves, but they would rather be the judge, jury, and executioner for you because of your energy and what you bring to the table. It's like what they bring to the table is physical, and, you know, they don't have, but without the spiritual backing, because they have siphoned somebody else's energy, like 8 times out of 10, that's what they've done. They found somebody spiritual, but they were able to crush them and keep them under wraps, right? Fallen angel, and get them to side with them. And like, then we will wake that person up to who they are, that they are truly abundant, you know, getting around another earth angel, you know, while they're trying to crush the one that just came in. You know, that person comes into actualization, self-actualization, and then it becomes a real problem for a narcissist, basically. All right, this is like a bad road. And then they want to, you know, and then sometimes you get stalked because just like, you know, what your energy attracts. Your energy attracts wealth and affluence, right? Your character, and like, you know, I've never attracted like a truly like broke, like extremely, well, one stupid guy, you know, like one really dumb. It's just like, I always had a damn opinion, but I'm not even gonna say which situation that was. But it was just like, you know, just like really, you know, like playing the nice guy and stuff like that. So okay, cool. But continue to play with yourself, because that's all you're doing when you're being fake, is you're fucking playing with yourself, right? Playing yourself and playing with yourself. And you know, they'll pursue you because just of the energy that they've seen you. They know to be true that you attract, right? I've attracted a lot of great opportunities that have been absolutely sabotaged by other people out of pure jealousy. Like, I don't have to do anything to, you know, like, as a earth angel, divine, whatever we're calling ourselves these days, we don't have to do shit to make people jealous, and that's unfortunate. But it's just like, if we bring out people's true nature. You know, we bring out the serpent that is within them. You know, the person that bit the apple, the person that, you know, is actually, you know, we bring out the parts of them that they would be ashamed of, but they, you know, like, once they realize their master's off, then they gotta fucking double down. It's just like, oh my god, like I am a jealous motherfucker. I am, you know, this and then they start involving groups of people. You know, they go out and like, and intentionally just recruit people to jump on this the bandwagon, the hate train of like everything. But I'm like, if you don't, and then watch, you know, what they don't, the thing they hate to see most is, you know, you being happy, you being yourself authentically and truly. It's just like, whereas we let them, you know, we let them make it, we let them operate, you know. And then when it came time to defend ourselves, that's when we had to be like, you know what, no, we're good on that. Like, just fall back with that. Like, that's enough. Like, you need to go like check yourself. You know, they would say the same thing for us, but the only difference is that we're not checking for them. Like, we're not watching for them. We're not clicking on their channels and trying to see what they're talking about and trying to debunk it. It's just like, it'll debunk itself. You know, one way or another, on either end, it'll debunk whatever is not true will be debunked, and whatever is true will be debunked, and everybody will make their decision, and eventually there will be a place of peace, because everybody will be living in what you know, they are truly and authentically, whether it's a damn demon or whether it's somebody that is here to raise the frequency, right? And the thing is, it's just like, it's never ending. There's a rock bottom, but you know, who knows how high the sky actually is, right? Once we break out of the stratosphere, which is the matrix, a self-made, a man-made bubble, basically a man-made cage to provide a system of control and like so-called structure, you know, to the the best they, you know, they could do, I guess. And feels like it needs to pop. It's weird. But it's all man-made. All these illusions they put around us, and we're not free unless we're doing this and this and this. And you know, it's like some of these systems that they put around us aren't even legally regulated. They just kind of popped up and say, hey, you know, that's a nice you know, that's a nice tax bracket you're in there. You know, I'm gonna like siphon, you know, 40% of that shit, and then tell you you're gonna get it back when you're 65 or something like that, you know, and we're gonna give you 60% of that. It's utter bullshit, because it's just like half the shit they're telling us they're gonna do, they're not fucking doing. You know, as a matter of fact, the things they said they're gonna do are actually getting worse. You know, they say night it's darkest before dawn, and things get worse before they get better. But we're, you know, like, it's a matter of patience as well on our part. And I feel like, you know, we the people have been patient enough, you know, and, you know, just ready to get shit done. Because it's just like, what if the politicians got paid minimum wage? How many people would be so eager to step up into office and do all this politicking and do all this campaigning and what do they call those people, lobbyists and stuff like that? How many people would be willing to jump on that, you know, to jump into that field of like political, you know? And you know, if we just set them all to minimum wage, you know, like take away the White House, just make them live off minimum wage, you know. And like, as far as who is president now is, like, for me, actually respectable, because that person actually went through the struggle. They actually know what it's like to file for bankruptcy and go through all these struggles, whereas these other people, what it seems like is they don't know shit about shit. They don't know anything about the, you know, about struggling, you know. And maybe the one or two other ones, right? And you know, one, it kind of like, I don't know if he intentionally put himself through the struggle just to find out what it's like on that end. Because I'm like one of those people, like I'll like, even in martial arts, I'll put myself, and they do have I forgot what they call it, not sabbaticals, but it's a part of a drill. You put yourself in the worst possible point of no return situation, like damn near rock bottom, like you're in the submission hold and they're about to pull the trigger, and you fight your way out of it. And I know the current president was in that, you know, I think that's what he did. I don't know. I gotta watch that video again. But you know, it's just kind of like that. It's just like, how do I get out of this? What do I need to utilize? And like, he's actually giving good, sound financial advice. So that's what's respect. Because these other ones, they were getting up there talking, you know, and creating programs that just didn't work for everybody. You know, and they had all these what is it, dollar amount financial, what is it, shit, income barriers, yeah, income, why can't I find that word, income level, right? Like where a certain amount of household income per person or whatever, to say what you can and cannot do. But not every household is the same. Not every household is operating the same, you know? Like, it's just like, yeah, I'm surviving on bare minimum, but I'm also making minimum wage, which is like, the bare minimum is taking up, you know, like 90% of my minimum wage, to the point I damn near can't afford to eat, right? And things like that. And or if they're making well, hell, if you're making $100,000 a year, and you're still I'm sorry. It's hard, like, unless you have like 8 kids or something. I just don't see a motherfucker not making it, even with 3, even in California. But, that's like because you refuse to, like, make amends. But I could be wrong, because, like, everybody's got different goals, hopes, dreams, and things like that. And that's that's the whole thing, is people don't want you to follow your dreams. Like, why is there a dollar amount cap? Like, okay, a cap, I get, right? But if you make under a certain dollar amount, like if you make under, then you can't, right? Like if you make under, I don't know, 60,000 for, to be, I guess, safe-ish in California, then you can't apply for certain government funds, which doesn't make sense to me. Like that, because that's the people who need help, or single people, because it's hard to make it when you're single, because it's like the rent doesn't change because you're single, right? The price of rent, the mortgage and stuff, that shit doesn't change just because you're single. You may not have kids, but you also don't have a fucking 2-income household, or a potential to have more than one income in your household, because like some people, their kids help them. But if you're out here by yourself with no help whatsoever, and you're responsible for your bills, and especially if you like work for yourself, freelance and travel, there's tax write-offs for travel, right, and everything like that, which I gotta do my taxes. Damn. See, I haven't even gotten around that. I just like got back from my trip and I just hit the ground running. But yeah, the prices don't change just because you're single. There are no discounts for being single or anything like that. So yeah, this is like, I feel like the matrix for them needs to be reworked, right? And that could be a matter of lowering taxes or just making them non-existent, right? And whoever decides to contribute can contribute, right? Or if they want to organize these unions and say, you live in this city, and the union of construction workers or whatever responsible for the union of construction workers, or whoever is responsible with let's say, like, for example, fixing these roads, right, and keeping them in check, which is like, kind of like government style, but they leave it to the citizens. And get it, like, let the people kind of pay for themselves. I know I might be starting some shit with this, but it's just like, I don't have all the answers either. Nobody does, but everybody knows what works for them, pertaining to them. And if people could get together without arguing, because they have a difference of opinion, and then it turn into a whole ass fight, then some of this shit really could get resolved if things are looked at it logically instead of like straight emotion. Like, yeah, don't disregard emotion, but there's a sense of logic too. Like, state the needs, what you think of the needs are, majority vote, and all that stuff. It's like they're doing it up there and making more money than us doing it, while we're out here with the ability to do it, but they're making the money by writing the notes, sitting there with a pen and paper, telling us what we can and cannot do on our own land. It's like, and I hope this is making sense. But it's like, it's all matrix type stuff, and they even integrated themselves into our personal lives. What we decide to do, who we decide to love, enforcing our hand, and who we decide to commit to. People are living with people that they don't even fucking like. They're ready to fucking like unalive these people that they're living with. Like, nobody should ever be stressed out financially to that point that they're ready to like unalive the person they're with because they're stuck with them, out of fear of being homeless or not having food, or like losing a position or whatever. It's just like, no, it's just like, it's not like, if that's the American dream, then I'm not I'm definitely like just un-American me, then okay, fuck that. Because I'm not about to be living with somebody, I don't care what it looks like. I'm not about to be unhappy because I have somebody in my space that is like making me uncomfortable, or making me like, I refuse to let somebody make me hate them, bottom line. or my circumstance, or their circumstance, or anything like that. I refuse. I'll move around it. I'll find a way around it, which is part of being a creative and adding to your creative abilities is finding a way around it. A lot of people have become like not solution oriented in their own lives, and it's like that's another thing. It's just like turn off the fucking TV. If your TV's bigger than your bookshelf, you might need to like reconsider what you're doing. Like it's just like just because you have money doesn't mean you're happy. It's like maybe you can put some Botox in and fake that smile all day. And if I fake a smile, it's because my anxiety has kicked in, because I'm neurodivergent, so I'm processing a lot of different shit. Like the smile, it wants to be genuine, but it's also like, okay, I'm like, especially if I'm trying to leave and like you're, kind of still talking, it's just like, oh shit, it's genuine, but it just, it looks cheesy, it looks fake, but I'm like, yeah, okay, love you, gotta go. And that's kind of like how I feel like we should be able to close out the cycle club, even with love, but I gotta go. Like, it's just like, no, it's a no for me. But you should also, I feel like you should also try to, talk it out and work to see what options you have, what ways you have around it. And what ways you have around those options, like exhaust your options, but if you see absolutely your intuition is telling you absolute the fuck no, absolute red flag, keep it moving, then I definitely do that. But I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully this wasn't too all over the place. Hopefully you got something from that, maybe a bright idea, maybe an invention or something like that. I don't know. Hopefully it sparks something in your brain that makes you or things around you better. Till then, drink water, take care of yourself, love yourself and each other. And until next video, thank you for watching Soul Measure, and take care.